You're listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoy on the market. First Light, the best hunting gear on the planet. Go farther, stay longer. And Ducklander Calls, tradition, education, and quality. Built to hunt.
Punisher Waterfowls The Refuge is presented by Quick Koys, the fastest deployable, most portable, lifelike motion decoy product ever invented for duck hunters. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430 podcast, episode 196. We are inching closer and closer to that 200th episode, and it's going to be a banger. And leading up to it, it's going to be amazing because we have some amazing stuff going on. This week, we have Paul Getsky coming to us all the way from the great state of Wisconsin. And you know what, Paul? I'd like to be able to say that you're the first person from Wisconsin to be on the show, but you're not. Wisconsin is a great state for bird hunting. Of all kinds, but mostly those big giant Canadas. So we're going to get into it with Paul. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, it's just Craig and I on tonight with Paul as the boys are busy. The summer has taken over their schedule. So it's just going to be us three tonight. And as usual, I have to thank the sponsors of Real Geese, First Light, and Ducklander Calls. They've been amazing to us, so please go check out their socials and give them some love. And, of course, we cannot forget the voice of the Union 0430 podcast, Captain Jeff Coats from Pit Boss Waterfowl. Whew. Now, we got that out of the way. That's done. Paul, welcome to the show, buddy. Great to have you on. We've been back and forth for a while. You've been pretty busy. So we're finally connecting. We finally got you on. We got the time zone squared away. Everything's good. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your patience and me not being able to figure out Eastern and Central time zone. So
hey, it's all good, buddy. I'm going to tell you, I've had some pretty good brain farts in the last 48 hours as well. Coming back from the Delta Waterfowl Duck Expo down in Baton Rouge this past week, and I still haven't caught up on my sleep, and I'm still, I don't know, I'm not 100% yet. Just sending out emails, and I got to count them, or I got to read them 3 times, and I'm putting words in there that just, and I'm a Newfoundlander, so English is my second language, anyways. So trying to pound out messages and stuff has been troublesome. So
this isn't the first issue with the time zone. It won't be the last. No, you're right. This isn't the first issue with the time zone, and it will not be the last. But Paul is with Huntmark, and Paul is on tonight because, and many of you that have listened to this podcast in the past know that Brian Ellithorpe is a very good friend of mine. Very good friend of the show, and it was Brian that actually introduced us, Paul, because he thought that both of us should meet, and you should come on the show and talk about your products. So I will, when this episode drops, I'll tag Huntmark and I'll put your website and all that stuff in it so people can check it out.
Sure.
But as I'm going to let you chime in and get some words in here soon. I'm trying to set this up. But as a very, very amateur dog trainer that I am, I like your stuff. I'm not going to lie, because when I seen some of it, I'm just like, this is different. This is different, and I really want to talk to him because I want to get down to what this is all about. So, again, buddy, thank you for coming on the show, and I can't wait to dive into this. And the beauty is we got Craig on here who's never owned a dog, who wants a dog, and he's always is now the right time to get a dog, or should I wait? So, it'll be good. We can chat with Craig too, because one of your biggest concerns, Craig, was the training part of it, right?
Yep. Yeah, and it's like I went through the website a little bit, and I wanted to touch on some of the stuff that you guys have on the website as far as information.
Hey everybody, this is Kyle Smock with Show Me Ducks, a proud sponsor of Punisher Waterfowl's The Refuge this March at the Toronto Sportsman Show. Come check us out in The Refuge to see the Deep Diver 2.0, the Ice Quacker, and the Mini Quacker.
Sure. Yeah, and I think I can give you a little bit of my background, but talk a little bit more about Huntmark and how it came about. Brian's been a great contributor for us as far as social media.
Yeah.
And yeah, his eye for, capturing our product in either a training situation or a wildlife in general it's been great. So we really appreciate his work. So, but I'm going to give you a little bit of background, how Huntmark kind of came about, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, 100. Hey, this is your episode, so you do whatever you want.
Okay, all right. Well, Huntmark, I guess, officially became a brand or a product in August of 2020. So we're relatively young. The idea has been around or been rattling around in my brain for quite a few years. And I think the catalyst to getting it done was being a corporate suit for almost 30 years. I spent a lot of time in the television business.
Okay.
So I worked a majority of my career at Time Warner.
Okay.
And in that career, I had account executives work for me. And the last couple of years before I left television, I worked for an ABC and NBC affiliate. And I had left that career with a really good understanding of media, advertising, and marketing, because that's pretty much what we did for quite a few years.
Yeah.
What I'd spent the last 10 years doing is working in the manufacturing sector. I had an opportunity to buy into a manufacturing facility.
Oh, wow.
In our area. So I went from TV to manufacturing, which was quite a jump. So
that's getting out of your comfort zone right there.
Yeah, it was more out of the necessity of this manufacturer had to take their products and put them on an e-commerce or an online platform.
Okay.
And get the product out of the hand of distributors and wholesalers. So I brought that part of the expertise, but what I had found is that the last 10 years was a struggle because we were a U.S. manufacturer, and I'm still part of that business, but we spent a good part of that time sourcing components all over the world, mostly in Asia. Okay. So the last 10 years, I learned how to build out e-commerce platforms, manufacturing, and sourcing. And it married up quite well with my 40 years of hunting over sporting dogs.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and give you my expertise is in the area of dog training, which is actually from probably the benchmark of where you and Craig might be coming from, is that my expertise is actually a business background.
Right.
And I marry that business background with a network of professional trainers.
Of course, yeah.
And glean from them what I would say are the holes in our training market. So the products that we use to train dogs in the two silos that I define in training are, one, you have obedience training, and then you have the actual work of creating a hunting dog. Okay. So we have identified, Huntmark, 150 products that we are interested in pursuing in the next 5 to 10 years in the areas of the two that I mentioned, both obedience or foundational training, and then hunting training itself.
Okay.
So it's been an education to organize the professional trainers to get the feedback and then actually launch this product or series of products, and then the whole gamut of that. So what we have found is that every product that we brought to market, and we're quite young right now, we have 6 original products right now on our path to the 150, and just the amount of time and attention in the actual raw materials and going through one of our, I guess I could call it flagship, or what I would say is kind of the meat and potato of most trainers, is this standard 2-inch bumper. You see them all over.
Yep.
It's a commodity. My competitors, they sell theirs for a couple, $2-3. It goes anywhere from $3 to $20, depending. Now, just this one product alone, we went through about 6 different iterations of plastic.
Oh, wow.
Just to get
the right
feel and the right durability and the right thickness. One of the things that we are positioning Huntmark for the future is that when you are a manufacturer of products that a dog has the potential to ingest, you have a corporate and civic responsibility for the safety of the dog. So what we have done is, in that plastic, is we're trying to make it the same plastics that are currently acceptable for children's products and baby products.
Okay.
So in the anticipation that our industry, in maybe 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, or 5 years from now, may be regulated much like toys are for children.
So trying to get ahead of that, because I would, and I don't want to sidetrack you here or anything, but from a manufacturing standpoint, if you're producing product X with these guidelines for X number of years, and then now all of a sudden a government regulation comes in that tells you, hey, listen, you need to have this safety, that's a major curveball.
Yeah, it right now we are one of the leading distributors of this style bumper right now on Amazon.
Okay. In
the United States, where this product is available in your neck of the woods in Canada currently through Amazon.
Okay.
And to be compliant and to sell on the world's largest e-commerce platform, you have to be very conscientious of what your quality standards are and how you manufacture. And one of the have you ever heard of Prop 65 out of California and here in the States?
No, I haven't. No.
In order to sell in California, you have to disclose any materials that have the potential of any risk factors, primarily cancer.
Yep.
So we manufacture to that as a minimum threshold, and then a projection into the future that we want that standard plus the ability, if this was a child's toy, that it would pass that testing protocol.
Well, and I can only speak on personal experience, because I know there are some very regimented, strict dog trainers out there, but I'm not going to lie. My kids are older now, so I don't have to worry about it, but a dog bumper do make it into my house every once in a while. And thank God my kids are old enough that they know not to put it in their mouth. But Had they had been babies when I was training my dog, it could have been an issue. That's really, you know what? That's something I've never ever heard anybody talk about, because I would assume, is there some liability to you and your company if something, God forbid, was bad to happen? You are liable, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's the golden rule that I've put forth with our business is that we are not going to go into the business of what I would say it goes in or on your customer, meaning that we won't do like supplements or medicated creams or stuff like that because of your liability exposure.
Yeah.
However, because we do sell on Amazon, it's kind of a necessity to get to a national brand. You have, Karen or a Joanne or a Bill that, they buy a sporting dog
Mm-hmm.
and they know the dog is built to retrieve. So then they go do some search and then they find this type of product. But that dog by no means has been worked with to either, one, to be force fetched or
Right.
to hold condition at all.
Yeah.
And if you look at our listings online, the very second slide says, this is not a toy.
Yeah.
This is a tool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yeah, but it still doesn't remove you from your responsibility as a manufacturer. So you want to do the very best to hold the highest standards to the lowest common denominator of dog owner, basically. So,
Yeah. And that's a, I don't know. I'm not in the manufacturing world, and neither I have never, and I don't know if you have, Craig, had a conversation with some of the people we've had on the show when it comes to the products that they, but that kind of risk management, like I understand when you're manufacturing something, you want it to be the best quality standard because you don't want it falling apart, and especially in our world of duck hunting when it's cold and wet and miserable, you don't want your products to start failing then. And I understand that part of the risk management, but you're interjecting a whole different level of risk management that I've never even thought about when it comes to the hunting world. Obviously, firearms and that sort of thing, they do it, but just I am really surprised that that type of risk management for dog training as has made its way around the board table.
Well, it makes sense too, because yeah, like you're saying, there's always that durability aspect. Like I'm sure there's plenty of product. There's a range of products out there you can go and get where, you get one use out of it before it's falling apart in the dog's mouth versus, it's going to last you a couple of years. But yeah, like people, the amount of care that people put into their dogs, and it's a family member, they don't want something that's just going to, even just the choking aspect, right? Like if it's just a cheap material that's going to fall apart and they're going to choke on, or they're going to have a vet bill associated with it.
I'm going to throw something at you, and I didn't know this, and I read about it on one of the dog forums that I had been a part of. So everybody's got that stainless steel bowl that their dog drinks out of. Like 80% of them aren't safe for dogs to drink out of.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So like if you go to the dollar store and you buy your stainless steel bowl, your dog's probably going to get poisoned.
Yep.
Well, even you look at serving platters and stuff you can get at the dollar store. Like if you flip them over, they'll say like not a food contact surface or something like that.
Seriously?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, anything from some of the long-term storage containers that are made from PVCs, you have to be pretty careful on all of that because one of the things I'm very right on everything I look at.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
not the regulations and as a small business, we struggle every day just to stay ahead of everything. And then as you were mentioning, all of a sudden they can change something that completely strips everything that you've put in packaging and so forth. But, we've gone down this rabbit hole of, California is just can be very oppressive as far as the regulations, but they push you to think on, just plastic alone. I didn't understand that one of the cancerous contaminants within plastic are actually the platelets or stabilizers that make a more durable product. So if you remove them, then you have to find out, different manufacturing processes to achieve that without, long-term exposure to a dog with this being in his mouth. So, wow. but anyways, you're getting a lot of the back end stuff of a brand and manufacturing, the less sexy stuff. The more sexy part of this business is working with our pro staff and working with the dogs. And then, I really looked hard at going to the Delta Waterfowl. Because where I thrive is we have our Wisconsin Waterfowl Association Expo coming up at the end of the month here. In Oshkosh. And we've been a sponsor member of that the last 2 to 3 years. And I get to talk to hundreds of waterfowl hunters on that occasion, and all we talk about are dogs and training and where they're at. And it's great for us as a company to hear where people are at, what dogs they're using, the challenges that they're having. It's great feedback.
So you had said, we were getting a lot of the back end information and the non-sexy stuff, but one thing, and I really do try to do this when it comes to the show, is try to give a really big overall picture of what's going on when it comes to this process, because and I don't know the price of your products and stuff like that, but if this is the way conversations usually go when I'm talking to someone and I go, hey, listen, have you heard about this product? Yeah, I've heard about it, but they're $3 more than this one. And I'm going to save, and I got to buy 24 of them. So, that's $36. That's $24 or whatever it is, right? Someone's going to send me a message about my math on that and make fun of me. But I like when I get the back end story on that, because there's a reason why there was the extra $3 on let's say your product, if that's the case, right? Because there's a little bit more put in it. You guys are already planning for what could, and who knows, maybe it never do, but if it do happen, you guys are prepared for it and before the big crunch, right? So Punisher Waterfowls The Refuge is presented by Quick Kois, the fastest deployable, most portable, lifelike motion decoy product ever invented for duck hunters. So I like hearing the back end of those processes, because it explains a lot to me as a consumer why I'm spending the extra $1 or $2 on a product as opposed to something else.
Yeah, and that the way that the media landscape has changed, and the onset of the podcast allows for this discussion.
Yeah.
Where on the front end, there's no way I can get this across, in a 30-second ad or what have you.
Right.
So
right.
I do appreciate your distribution format to explain this. And, when it comes down to it, and we can stick to the bumper because it's relatable, is that anyone that brings a product or a brand to market, what you try to do is create a connection with your core audience. And we determined at Huntmark is that our core audience is the fanatical waterfowl hunter. We lovingly called him, kind of contrary to waterfowl, is Kevin Pointer. And,
nice.
we gave him a name. He's got an age, but he drives a very nice truck.
Yeah.
You know, he is the first one to either put on a First Light gear or that other person. And then, you know, either a Benelli or a Frankie, or, you know, he's got, he has his brands.
Yep.
And the reason he has his brands is that these particular products perform for him when he takes his precious time, because this guy is either working 40 to 60 hours a week, you know, running a plumbing or roofing business, or he might be a corporate mid-manager, but he's got a precious finite amount of time that he gets to go out and take his dog and his shotgun to the field.
Yep.
So we want his attention. And when we talk to him, we do want to get across that, yep, there is bumpers out there for $3. There's some for 20. We're comfortably in the middle, and we have a lot of forethought in what we do with this bumper. And, you know, you talk about the features, which is, you know, it's 12 inches long, it's 2 inches wide, it's made of plastic, but you want to talk about the benefits being the type of plastic. All of my competitor bumpers now are only 9 to 10 inches long. And they kind of did the downsizing that we see at grocery stores and fast food joints, where, you know what, a Happy Meal is still, you know, $8, but everything is smaller in it.
Yeah.
Or a bag of Doritos used to be, you know, 14 ounces. Now it's 7, same price.
Mm-hmm.
What we did is we kept the same original 12-inch bumper. So it's 12.
Yeah.
And it's not 1.75 inches, it's 2. Because along with pile work and this thing being something that you can fetch with, one of the most important things a retrieving dog can do is hold whatever they're bringing to you.
Mm-hmm.
Most dogs will fumble out, pick something up, bring it either all the way or part way, and then drop it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So even what we call lovingly our meat dogs, or, you know, a working man's dog, you want that dog to have some very basic skills. Number one, it's obedient. You give it a command, it sit, stay, come, down, heel. The next thing is that it can go out and pursue what it's retrieving. And then once it secures that bird and comes back, it holds it for you. And before any of those conditions take place, that dog is quiet and steady. So you have a steady dog, a dog that has the ability to find game, secure game, hand the game to hand.
See, you had my dog, you were nailing everything, and I was like, that's my dog, that's my dog, that's my dog. And then you threw out the calm and steady, and that's where I lost you.
Yeah. Well, and that being honestly one of my training Achilles heels over the years is one of two things. And those of us that put some time in duck blinds and boats is that we either have a dog or we've hunted with someone with that dog where they're all over. They're tripping over gear. They're, you know, as soon as someone reaches for a gun, the dog's in the water.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, it's a safety issue. Number two,
it's annoying.
It's annoying as hell. And it's usually the dog owner the most.
Oh yeah. My dog is good. It's just on the clip on the sound. No, it's not good because she shouldn't break anyways. But it's on the shot fired. That's when she just becomes unglued. Like, I got to go. That thing is going to escape if I don't get out there right now and get it. Like, she just got it. She's a good dog. She's good. But as soon as that shot goes off, that's it. It's chaos. So anyways, I digress.
Yeah. No. It's in going back to what I started the program with, is that we are in a position that we want to pursue the two venues of our sporting dogs. one being the obedience side, and then two are creating tools to enhance or make them better hunters. Okay.
Mhm.
The first silo is really important. Check cords and leads, electronic collars, and all the conditioning stuff. That, a lot of different options out there. They're all great if used properly. But one of the things, I've been hunting waterfowls since the 70s. So
Yep.
I've been around the block on it. From 78 on has been over dogs. And one of the things that I was introduced to years and years ago were play sports. Have you worked with or used play sports at all?
I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't. I shouldn't say I've just never been consistent in training with a play sport. Yeah.
Well, and this will be for Craig too. In considering a dog, I tell people when they go to expos, or I would have been down at Delta Waterfowl,
Mhm.
I always ask, what type of bird hunting do you do? Do you own a dog? And then the third question is type of dog,
Mhm.
how old the dog is, and where are you at with its training?
Yeah.
And a lot of people visit us with young dogs, year in the adolescence. One of the things I tell them, I have our training boards there, our place boards, and I tell them right there, get yourself at least one place board, but 4 is ideal for a young dog.
Okay.
And I tell them, I don't care if they buy boards from me or if they take a 2x6 with a
sheet of plywood,
piece of plywood, tires. Old school used to be tires with plywood. But to create a steady dog, in my opinion, starts as young as you have them now, and then boards. And being from Canada and Wisconsin, one of the things that I recommend people to do is a really short, easy drill. I call it a 4-corner or a square. You put your 4 boards in a square in your garage. If you have a young dog, you bring that dog to heel up onto that board, have them sit and stay. And that's all that you do, sit, stay, and then that dog becomes completely calm, and you can praise them, or if you're an advocate of the treats at that time, that's fine. Then once that dog is completely still, and I mean not moving, when they achieve that, then heel them to the next board, sit, stay.
Wow.
And then to the next board, sit, stay. And you're just going in a square. And as they master that, and the younger the dog, the shorter the duration. So if it's a 8, 9, 10 week pup, couple minutes. And every placement on those boards has to be a success. So approaches the board, doesn't dilly-dally, up, sits, plants its rear end. And you'll have to help them at times, but you move them board to board, and they're completely at heel. Then in time, you create space between heel and the dog. So it might be a 4-foot lead where they have the 3 to 4 feet. Sit, stay, sit, stay. And then at some point, you can actually have a check cord at them. And then as the dog is moving from one board to the next, just take your hand and motion to the next board.
Okay. Yeah.
Then
like a cast.
He sits, then bring him back to the next board.
Wow.
Well, you can move him in that square, slowly picking up on your hand signals now, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually, if the dog struggles, go back a step, build the confidence, go back. But as it's moving board to board, sitting and staying, and you're literally casting that dog, you can take center position within the 4 corners. You can cast the dog left or right, depending on the board. You can bring the dog to the center and cast them back to a corner board. And then the whole goal, and you set goals within that drill of complete steadiness is the number 1 drill. maintaining and moving without flaw to the next. And then third, it might be picking up on the casting. And that can be done all winter, 5-10 minutes at a time.
No, it is good. And don't get me wrong. One of the guys that I train with, Matt Pomeroy, and Matt he's a great dog trainer. He's a CKC, so his labs are CKC senior hunters. His pointers are NAVDA. I don't even know what the title they've got, but it's impressive. And whenever I show up, he's old school with the tires and the plywood, right? But his dogs are rock steady, and I mean rock steady. I've been around a lot of dogs, and I've been around some amazing dogs, hunting dogs. And Matt is of the opinion where everything starts with obedience. If obedience isn't there, then it's everything you're doing is a waste of time, right? So everything starts with obedience. And I'm going to tell you, well, I don't have to tell you because you probably know, but for me, being used to meat dogs, and I'm not saying the meat dogs I've been around are just wild and crazy. They're great dogs, but these are on, like Matt Pomeroy's dogs are on just a different level when it comes to obedience. So I wanted to, there was one thing that I really wanted to touch on, and I don't know how long it's going to take you to explain all this to us. So I want to get to it before we go too far. And like I said, I'm very amateur with this dog training. I train with a guy. He's forgotten more than I'll ever know. But so first off, we use 3-inch bumpers, and he tells, and that's what has always been. It's got to be 3-inch bumpers, never 2-inch bumpers. So there's that idea, and then the other is white and black flashers. That is what the dog sees. But when I go on your site, I see the blue and lime, and immediately I'm like, that's wrong. That's not right. He shouldn't be having blue and green. But then I read, as I read going through you guys consulted with a veterinary ocular, like brainiac specialist.
And for my sake, Damien, when you say flasher, what is that?
Oh, white and black. Sorry. So it's a
just the bumper itself is just black and white.
Yeah, it's just black and white. So so as you throw it in the air, it's just flashing right from black and white, and the dog can get, because from what I know, and Paul, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we use orange bumpers for blinds because the dogs don't see orange, right?
Right.
But
Correct.
they will see white. They will see white, and when you're throwing stuff, the white and the black will get their attention because it's sort of kind of flashing. But if you go on Paul's website at Huntmark, it's a blue and like a lime green color. And I'm telling you, I seen it and I was like, what is this? And then I read more, just what you guys had said, but I'm hoping you can elaborate a little bit more on it.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought this up. This is the most controversial thing.
Yeah, I bet.
That we've done and introduced into the sporting dog community. I have the most heated discussions with old school trainers. And
I bet.
I have more respect for some of these trainers than they will in, a thimble full of the right side of their brain will probably have more knowledge on training than I do.
Yeah.
However, in 2018, when I was looking and doing my research, and I identified the 150 products that we wanted to pursue, and there was a very long established way that we identified these. And one of the things with our research that came up was looking at the differences between the pet market and our sporting dog market.
Yep.
And one of the things I kept seeing are like the toys for stimulation, because when you talk about the flasher and the white, it's recognition or stimulation.
Yep.
So I kept seeing all the blues and what you call our greens. And I knew something was there. I just didn't know what it was. So in the state of Wisconsin, we have the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And we have Dr. Paul Miller, who's in charge of the equestrian and canine ocular surgery for the research hospital.
He's a dude that knows a thing or two.
They're known worldwide for their
expertise,
research and study in ocular surgery. So I wrote him.
Hey everybody, this is Kyle Smock with Show Me Ducks, a proud sponsor of Punisher Waterfowl's The Refuge this March at the Toronto Sportsman Show. Come check us out in The Refuge to see the Deep Diver 2.0, the Ice Quacker, and the Mini Quacker.
A nice email when I found out who I needed to talk to. I said, here's what we're looking at doing is looking at pursuing a lot of training tools within the dog market. And here are some of our ideas. Where am I wrong? And I didn't hear from the guy for the longest. And I was doing my thing and developing product. And then I get an email and it's, I don't know, they don't have pages and emails, but I had to scroll 2 or 3 times.
Oh, wow. Yeah. A lot of information.
And a lot of information. And I read and picked up as much as I can. And I ended my email to him as like, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
Gave me some time. I talked to him. He went into detail explaining sight. And one of the things that I use in my expos or when I'm talking to people is, you're familiar with this, right?
Yeah.
Tennis ball?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Miller said to me, he's like, Paul, you've owned a lot of dogs. You've been around dogs. He's like, you ever see the dog gravitate toward a tennis ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they have their choice of stuff. They usually pick it up. He's like, is the ball magic?
Yeah.
He said that tennis ball is not actually green. It's what's called optical yellow. Okay. It's the highest point of yellow in the NV spectrum that your cones can pick up.
Okay.
And it's the highest point that a dog sees because dogs only see in blue and yellow.
Yep.
And I've talked to, I'm not exaggerating, at least 50 different trainers that were professional high-end, had no idea that dog sees in blue and yellow.
Well, I did know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the important thing, or what we did, is I said, okay, dogs see in blue and yellow. How does that translate to what we do in this industry? And he said, actually, color is one of the lower end things that dogs pick up. He said dogs pick up motion first, their ability, but it's motion first and early, because I don't know if you know, dogs are 20/60. So what we see at 60 feet, dogs only see at 20. So they're 20/60 vision.
Oh.
So they're very nearsighted. So that's why it's really hard for a dog, when you line the dog up and you cast them or you're throwing something, that they got to be marking on it.
Yeah.
The other thing that the flasher is important is that motion or contrast gives them an ability to pick that up.
Yeah.
So they see, the best they see is motion. Next is luminance, the brightness that they perceive. Orientation, meaning they can pick up orientation if something's parallel. And then the next thing is what's called optical texture, like contours.
Yep.
And then the last thing they pick up is color.
Yeah. So I don't know where, and you'd have to dumb it down for me, but one thing that I was told when it comes to dogs is like, so on the orange bumpers, they don't see the orange, but what they will see. So if that orange bumper is out in the field, once they get up so close, it's the shape, it's that break in the shape of what the ground is, and then there's that that little rectangle all of a sudden showing up in their eyesight. They don't see the orange bumper. All they see is that break in the landscape, more or less. I don't know if I'm explaining that properly, but
no, you're exactly right. And you even have to be very careful on the orange, because when I was talking to Dr. Miller, he's like, if you see our orange is a very muted.
yeah.
Because if you go with a neon color orange, which some of our competitors are, you can actually see it.
Yeah.
The dog can.
Oh, really?
The dog can see that into the spectrum. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it won't show, it'll actually be a very light gray pushing white.
Oh.
If you use too high of a brilliance in orange.
Wow.
Like a blazed orange for hunting.
Yeah.
You don't want to use a blazed orange. You want to use a very muted orange.
Wow.
So, so you want to be, there's a whole science behind the colors. And one of the things I explain to people is that we're not saying that our blue and yellow is an answer or a competitive position against the traditional orange, white and black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you as a trainer or you as the dog owner, put yourself in a position to utilize the tool that we have. For example, if you go to Europe, a lot of the dogs are using either scenting or working for sight. A lot of their color of their bumpers are blue. We send a lot of blue bumpers to Ireland and the UK because no one makes them. And they have to use canvas over there. They use blue canvas.
I was really going to ask you, I don't want to jump on you, but I was really going to ask you why you were still using canvas.
Well, we are going to be coming out with a canvas.
Or fire hose, I guess, is what I should say.
Oh, the fire hose?
Yeah.
The fire. Yeah. It, again, providing as many tools and points of differentiation to give the trainer or dog owner an option.
Right.
You know, what I tell people is our small fire hose bumper is great for prey drive for a puppy.
Oh, yeah.
The fire hose is almost indestructible. It's got a looped handle. You can encourage the dog and entice it. So, and that even falls back to our optical yellow and blue, is that you've trained your dog. If you stand on a dock or at the very edge on a bright day on a piece of water,
mm-hmm.
and you look at the sky against the water,
mm-hmm.
and if it's a brilliant day with even a fair amount of cloud cover, it's white on white. The water doesn't look blue.
Right.
It's white on white.
Yeah.
And if you throw a white bumper or even a black white, you don't get as much contrast.
Right.
That if you actually take our optical yellow and throw it against the blue hue, it's an opposing color.
Right. So it will stimulate them.
Yeah, because a lot of times when you're throwing a white bumper, and guys use them as default into the sky, especially mm-hmm. once it gets past 60 feet, the dog can't see it. That's why if you were to hold a gun to my head and say you can only have one bumper, you're right. Your trainer's right. Do a flasher, a black and white, purely for the contrast.
Yeah.
Now, we do the same thing by using the optical yellow and the dark blue. And we combine those colors because depending on the training situation and what you want to do, because we've done pile work with our bumpers, and we've had dogs' preference on the yellows and blues.
Interesting.
They just pick them up, and it's.
I always and this is my thought, and here's a rabbit hole. So, our golden retriever, who was not trained, she was a pet, and she was a house pet, and I just always assumed, because when you watch TV and you see commercials, you always see a golden retriever with a tennis ball. So I just in my brain just thought it was hardwired into golden retrievers that tennis balls were their toys. And I'm going to tell you, that golden retriever we had, she could care less about anything in the house, but that's what we would buy her. For her toys were tennis balls. It didn't matter what else was purchased. Tennis ball was the thing that she went to all the time, every time, and there was no other option. And it's really, I don't want to pretend that I know a lot about dogs, but I thought I had a fairly good knowledge, and that whole ocular, what did you call it? Ocular yellow?
It's optical yellow.
Optical yellow.
It's one of the biggest arguments. If you went to Google right now and say, what color is a tennis ball?
Yeah.
You'll see a whole discussion on community saying it's yellow, it's green, and I get returns on our optical yellow bumpers on Amazon all the time.
Yeah.
Because people get it and they go, it's green.
Right.
And if I take a picture of it, like depending on how I hold it, it's like it looks yellow in some light and green in the other, because it's exactly on the spectrum between the two.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Craig, that must be because Craig is the big giant head in our group, right? Like Craig is the science guy, and just eats this stuff up. So Craig, your big giant head must be just.
Well, that was the first thing I noticed when I went to the website to check things out, was that color spectrum of what dogs see versus what we see. Mm-hmm. And I started going through, what is it, the barrel that you guys have on there?
The barrel.
The barrel.
The blog,
newsletter and that. So
blog,
kind of going through and learning all that stuff. So it's like I'm looking forward to going through and learning more, because like this is all pretty new and fascinating to me. Yep. And especially like going back to the idea of I've never owned a dog. I've never trained a dog. So like all the details you guys have is exactly what I'm looking for. And especially it's like I've said on here before, it's like cheap's the right word, but I don't like to just throw my money away. So being able to research this stuff and hearing what you're saying as far as, even going back to the manufacturing processes and, knowing that it's like, okay, like if I've got an option spending $2 versus $10, why? And is that going to save me in the long run for the dog's health and care or durability? But yeah, all the information that you've had so far, like I've thought it's really cool. That's why I haven't said anything, because I just realized I'm just kind of listening and taking it all in and
soaking it all in.
Yeah. No, it's been great.
We will. I'm sure of it. By the time in a year, we're going to have enough dog people on here that Craig's going to be able to say, I'm fairly confident I can get a dog, and I know enough, and I know enough people now that I can train a dog to go hunt with me. We're going to keep this, normally, Paul, I would start to wind things down around this point, but I want to keep going because this is really cool. So I really want to keep going on this vision thing, and I know you're saying it is one of those topics with the old school trainers, right? Like, I can't imagine sitting down with Mr. Lardy and trying to explain to him that you need to go with a optical yellow and blue bumper as opposed, and that man, if he is only if your knowledge is only filling a thimble in his brain, then mine's mine's microscopic. So it is just blowing me away. And my buddy Bill Kennedy, who I train with, I can't wait for this show to be over, because I'm going to message him. I'm like, buddy, you got to listen to this next show, because it's gonna. I don't know how he's going to react. I don't know if he's going to go, oh, I don't know about that.
We brought this to the market, and the honest discussions I've had with guys that have run dogs in hunt tests and are well acclimated trainers, they'll say it's a market, and it's gimmicky or it's marketing or what have you, and Huntmark's okay with that opinion, in the fact that you know, I look at a lot of these gentlemen and go, yeah, you know, I'm looking at the short end of 60 right now.
Right, right.
And my dad hunted and we hunted in Woolrich, Plaid, you know, with the 30-30 rifle. And I guess beyond a lot of things, it's all marketing, but it's beyond marketing. It's convenience, but taking technologies and
Punisher Waterfowls The Refuge is presented by Quick Kois, the fastest deployable, most portable, lifelike motion decoy product ever invented for duck hunters. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Stay tuned as we continue this conversation next week.